Good evening and welcome to New York Metro Weather's forecast discussion as we take a look at what has become a high likelihood, high impact event for the upcoming week with Thanksgiving and the day before it in jeopardy and likely to um, involve major impacts in our area from a storm system which will be developing off the East Coast on Wednesday. What we're going to do here is kind of go over, we did publish an article earlier today. But what we're going to do here is kind of go over what's forming the storm, what we know at this point, and what is still an uncertainty as we move forward. So what you're looking at right now is the 500 millibar heights valid for Wednesday morning on the GFS model. And there are a couple things that we want to point out here. First, the very first thing is a ridge on the west coast. So this is always something that when you're looking at an East Coast snowstorm, when there's a ridge on the west coast, the positioning of it is very important, and this one is right along the west coast. You can get big snowstorms on the East Coast even with a ridge centered here in Idaho, but it typically has to be more amplified. And you can see over the top of this ridge here is vorticity or energy disturbances coming out of the Pacific. And so we have two of them that are already in the United States. Up here, way north of our area is the event which will bring us rain on Monday. And that's going to drag a cold front off the East Coast, so Tuesday and then here Wednesday morning. We have a second disturbance right here, which is over the southeast states, and then a trailing disturbance coming through the plains. So here's what's going to happen Tuesday into Wednesday. That vorticity is going to slide to the southeast, while this one moves towards the Carolinas. And the ridge in the western and central Atlantic Ocean is going to allow for the flow along the east coast of the United States to turn southerly in the mid-levels. That means that this piece of energy is going to slide to the northeast here, and this second one coming in is going to attempt to phase with it. And you can see that that's exactly what occurs on the GFS model here, with this lead energy here allowing a low pressure to form, and this phase getting more energy involved. And you could actually see a third phase going on here to the north with this polar energy. This is the end result on the GFS. This is the afternoon GFS, and the low pressure system develops off the East Coast with, unfortunately, and for some, very excitingly for others, snow in many areas as a result of that low pressure system forming. The air mass is not necessarily very cold, but the low pressure system forming and deepening allows the air, which is behind the cold front that moves through on Tuesday, to be dragged into the area. Precipitation type is going to become a nightmare in this forecast moving forward. So that's the GFS. Now this is the European model with the same 500 millibar heights and vorticity. Look how much more amplified the Euro is with this lead wave and the trailing wave moving in compared to the GFS model. This brings the surface low much closer to the coast, and a southerly low-level jet moves in and brings much warmer air into the forecast area. As a result, the Euro has much more precipitation. Look how much more expansive this field of precipitation is. But also check the surface low. It's only barely off the coast of Ocean City and then moves over Long Island. That's Wednesday night to Thursday morning with significant precipitation in the northeast United States. The end result of that model solution would be snow in some areas, changing to rain rather quickly along the coast in New York City and Long Island, but remaining snow and mixed precipitation, and a lot of it in northern New Jersey and southeast New York. And that would favor a high impact event across the interior locations of our area. And here's why. This is a mid-level temperature, so 700 millibars. Check out how it's above freezing here during the height of the storm in New York City along the coast. The areas in northern New Jersey where it's 1 degree above freezing or 2 degrees above freezing, that can be overcome by dynamic precipitation at times. But generally, the Euro is indicating that the storm will be very strong. It'll come near the coast, and it will involve some frozen precipitation, which then changes over to rain. And here's the European ensemble members. Every low-pressure area, or L here, is a different ensemble member. You can see the strength just to the bottom right of them. And this green area here is where the mean, or you take a blend of all of them, that's where it would put it. But notice how there's a cluster developing here over just east of New Jersey over Long Island. These are the members which are stronger with the surface low. You can see 991, 993, 997, 989. They're tugging the surface low very close to the coast as a result of that phase being cleaner, more energetic, and the surface low being more amplified. As a result, it comes much closer to the coast, and that will produce heavy precipitation, whereas this other cluster is a little further to the east, similar to the GFS model, which brings a lot more snow to the area as a whole, but keeps the low pressure a little bit weaker and moves the surface low a little bit further east out to sea. Here's the NAM model. We took a look at this earlier, but much further to the east than any other model. This storm is still way out of the NAM's range. The NAM only runs to 84 hours, and this is the 81-hour forecast. Typically, the NAM will not really get its act together until the storm gets much closer within range. And here's the newer GFS from this afternoon, which has adjusted a little bit towards the European solution, but still is not quite there with the surface low off the coast, snow inland, rain along the coast. And in summation of all of this, what we're looking at is an increased likelihood of a high impact event from Wednesday into Thursday. Precipitation type is going to be very, very difficult to pin down until we get closer and we start to figure out the exact track. You can see, if you're looking here in detail at this model image, look how fine the gradient is between heavy snow and rain. That's a result of the mid-level warming in the atmosphere. So once that gets to your area, if it does push inland like the Euro and to an extent the GFS now suggests, the atmosphere is not going to be able to produce snowflakes where you are anymore. So the precipitation type is going to change over to maybe briefly sleet and then rain. And what that does is it makes things very complicated for us, because there can be a very tight gradient between where a lot of snow falls and where the snow falls and accumulates a couple inches and then turns over to rain. Right now, we're favoring a solution somewhere between the European and this GFS model. And what that means is that precipitation will begin as rain or snow. There will probably be a period of snow with the potential for some accumulations along the coast and in New York City and Long Island. But generally, precipitation will change to rain along the coastal plain and in New York City and points east of that. It's points to the west and northwest of New York City, into the interior of northwest New Jersey and southeast New York and western Connecticut, where several inches of snow look increasingly likely from Wednesday into Thursday, with the potential for travel to be impacted greatly both Wednesday and early on Thanksgiving. So we encourage you to stay tuned over the next couple of days. Details are going to be ironed out, we're sure, within 24 to 48 hours on the forecast models. And at the very least, we'll have a much better idea as to where we stand in terms of precipitation type and where snow will accumulate, if it does, and how much is going to be possible in those areas. Additionally, where travel will be impacted the most, and the watches and warnings that are going to be forthcoming from the National Weather Service. So we encourage you to stay tuned over the next few days. We hope we helped explain this event a little bit more, so you're not totally in the dark as to what's coming our way. Just keep an eye to our website, and we'll have updates moving forward over the next day, all the way up to Wednesday and Thursday. Thanks for checking in, and we'll talk to you guys on Monday morning.